Officially started. All right. Welcome back to the Black Dawgs Matters podcast. Today, guys, I have Derek Thomas here with me today, and we're going to be interviewing Richard Burch on our From the Dog's Mouth segment. For those who don't know what this segment is, or this is your first time listening, it's essentially where you do get to hear it from the Bulldog's mouth. You hear all these stories about these athletes, or you sometimes hear these improper narratives about these guys. You get to hear from them, and they get to tell you these stories about things that are happening inside the locker room, and then at the same time, what's really going on with their lives. You don't get to hear about it through the message boards or through some media person saying what they've done. They get to tell it themselves from their point of view. So that's what From the Dog's Mouth is really about. So let's go ahead and get started. So Richard, first, man, just welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right, so let's get started. Let's just start like at the beginning. That's what I always like to do. Let's talk about you just coming to Mississippi State. Talk about that recruiting process. Who all was looking at you other than Mississippi State, and why you ultimately decided to become a Bulldog?
Well, you got me thinking back now, but pretty much all the SEC schools, a lot of them, everybody, just about everybody you name, man, they were sending letters and calling and everything. I got like 5 shoeboxes, size 15 at the house full of letters, man. So it's like you gotta take your pick, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it was several of them. But as far as just the experience, with like the visits and why I chose, like I went to 2 different. I only took 2 of my trips. I took a trip to Ole Miss and to Mississippi State because I was pretty sure I was going to go in state because my family has always been a big supporter of my playing ball. And I didn't want to put too much traveling stress on them to be able to come to the game. So I went to Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and as far as the trip to Ole Miss, like you just get a feel for a person or a group of people, and you not to say they're not your type of people, but just the way they kind of carry themselves ain't necessarily how you see yourself fitting in, and or at least that was the case for me as far as dealing with Ole Miss. And then Mississippi State had a more down home feeling, and it was a better feel for me. So that's kind of how it happened to him. Plus, I graduated with Jerry Norwood, and that was where he was going. So it just kind of made the decision a little easier.
Okay. Right, because y'all were teammates in high school out of Brandon High.
Yeah, man.
Oh, we didn't ask Dale One too much about the recruiting stuff, any interesting story he had, because I know he had this distinction of being the highest rated player ever to come to Mississippi, end up signing with Mississippi State. But are there any interesting stories from recruiting as far as something that somebody said to you or promised to you that you, not necessarily money, that you were like, really, that you kind of really just couldn't believe that they even would go there?
Jeremiah.
You said something that was
something that a coach would promise that was like outlandish. I know Dale One said he was promised that he would play linebacker at Mississippi State. He said he was in the linebacker room for one day, even though he was 290 pounds. So was there anything crazy that coach promised you?
Well, I guess you could say I wouldn't necessarily call it crazy, but considering hindsight, like the schedule that we had with football, like I didn't really have much time for what they talked about, which was actually being able to play in the band while I was up there. Because I was a band in high school, I played snare drum, and they even allowed me to, visit with the band director and sing with the band and pep rally at one of the basketball games. And, kind of, for lack of better words, hype me up on being able to play the drums or whatever. But like I said, when I got there, it wasn't a situation where I really even had time to do it. I was so much of my time.
So you got a chance to play. Did you get a good chance to play with the band at basketball games?
No, I didn't even know the music, man. I kind of sat with them and, chopped up with them a little bit. And mostly it was just watching them.
All So, go ahead, Jeremiah.
No, what I was gonna say is it's kind of it's not quite the same. Have you ever seen the movie The Program?
The program. Is that what with Jamie Foxx?
No, you talking about Any Given Sunday.
That's
The
Any Given
Program,
Sunday.
it was the one with Omar
Program
Epps.
is with Omar Epps.
They had the linebacker that was on, not the linebacker, the defense lineman that was on steroids.
Latimer.
The point I was trying to make,
Yeah.
there's a part in the movie, like at the beginning of the movie, they recruited a kid. He was a game-breaking running back. They had a running back that was kind of slow, so they brought him in. They did all the bells and whistles to recruit him. Then he get there, he was like, man, what happened to all this stuff that y'all like had before? He was like, man, he's just another worm, freshman now.
Yeah.
The stuff don't be, they give you all that stuff. And so it seems like that's kind of what they do to all y'all, especially if you're highly rated.
Yeah.
Bells and whistles to get there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they definitely do that. And which I mean, I guess it ain't outside the rules per se. So it ain't. And sometimes the guys may get what they're looking for, especially like a Julius Peppers type situation where he was able to play basketball and football. But it just didn't work out for me. And very attributed to too much partying in the off season too. But we ain't gonna go there.
Did?
Uh,
All right, so you get to Mississippi State. Did you redshirt your true freshman season?
Nah, man. I ended up starting 3 games and then I broke my ankle.
Broke your ankle, and then you bounced back from that. And so after you bounced back from your ankle,
Hold on a second, man. Let me switch off my earpiece, man. It's better.
Okay. All right, fans, we're talking to former Mississippi State offensive lineman Richard Burch out of Brandon High School, and he's from the Dawgs mouth with us, talking about his journey to Mississippi State. Okay, so after you back, Richard?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you break your ankle, talk about your recovery and getting back on the field.
I'm gonna tell you that was a pretty tough thing for me, especially at a young age, and never really dealing with something like that before. And it messed with your mind a lot, especially the fact that you're trying to get back out to doing something that you ultimately were doing to get in the position, in a predicament with that,
Can you hear me, Jeremiah? Kind of having a problem hearing you, Fred. Kind of having a problem hearing you, kind of low.
I can hear you.
Let's pause it real quick, Derek.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from the Dawgs mouth with Richard Burch. Before we had the technical difficulties, we were talking about Richard coming back from injury. So let's talk about how you came back from that injury and what was next for you on the football field.
Well, yeah, when in the process of rehab and coming back, which rehab was a little tough. It wasn't as tough as actually getting back on the field, and that was the toughest part for me mentally because, like I said, that was what I was doing when I actually injured my leg, and then kind of the thought of just somebody hitting it again or not holding up like it used to, or whatever the case may be. It was just all those things were running through my head, and it just got to a point where I just had to kind of get over my fear of injuring it again, and just trust that the Lord hit me as best as possible and go ahead and get the job done. Because that's what I was there for.
Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Okay, so I guess you did come back from that injury, and I guess what a lot of people don't understand, you came back and you started at left tackle. I don't know, were you playing left tackle your first year?
My first year, actually they had placed me at right tackle, and I ended up switching to left tackle. It was like after the season started, but like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't that I was initially playing left tackle when I got there.
Well, what I kind of wanted to lead to, kind of let the fans know, some that may be a bit more football novices. You played the left side, and I think who was it? David Thompson at the time played the right side.
David Stewart, yep.
David Stewart, excuse me. I guess I was trying to remember the name come to me, but he ended up playing in the league for a while. So I kind of just want to let people know just probably how the fact that the left side of the line is normally the strongest lineman is normally going to play the left side unless the quarterback is left in. So
Right.
just kind of to give people insight as to, you know, how strong of a player you were, but kind of just talk about the decision of the coaches kind of trusting you to put you on the left side instead of, you know, letting you learn on the right.
Yeah, and as far as just what exactly was going through their head or whatnot, I can only speculate. But I know it was on the situation of we had who was it? We had I think his name was Carl Hutchins, and he had a ankle problem that he had been battling with, and then of course we had David Stewart on the right side, and which, like you said, he was a NFL caliber player, and so my speculation was that Carl was hurt and David was pretty solidified on the other side. They, you know, decided to give me a chance over there on the left side. Not to say a better, worse, or what have you, but it's kind of, I guess, the way the cards played out.
Was that your true freshman season?
Yeah, it was true freshman. Yeah.
So talk about how. I mean, did you feel you were prepared to step on the field as a true freshman? Because, you know, I mean, you were pretty talented coming out of Brandon. You were a 3-star recruit. You had the size, you had the strength, you had the athletic ability. I mean, talk about what it felt like starting that first game as a true freshman. I mean, with the nerves you had. I mean, how did you feel? Did you give up your first sack? When you gave up your first sack, if you did give up one?
Yeah, I don't recall giving up a sack my first game. Which it was against LSU when they had Marcus Spears and that other guy that
Swagoo. No.
Yeah, they Marcus Spears and I think dude's name was Hill or something that played for the Patriots and died on that jet ski. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Well, of course we know Marcus Spears. I'm trying to think. You said his
No,
last
I
name
know
was Hill?
Spears. I can't remember Hill.
I think his name was Hill. But anyway, that was, you know, Spears was a big name, of course, and which he didn't primarily play on the side in front of me. The other guy did, which me personally, I think the other guy was better. But because he came over there, I got a little bit of him too. But as far as nerves go, like, yeah, I mean, you know, pretty much any type of nerve that you get starting out something like that, especially in front of a large crowd and so many guys depending on you, it was kind of nerve wracking, but it was just one of those things where it's like, all right, you know, you either got to come with it or you're gonna get sat down. And I've never been the type to want to be, you know, put out the game or sat down. So it's like more of a, you know, they say football, 90% mental, and it's like just get your mind right and come on with it. But as far as like if I was I ready, I got ready fast because I mean the guys that we had Kamal Jackson and Khalil Nash and Tommy Kelly and you know what I'm saying, a couple guys that you know, made sure that the freshmen felt the fact that he was a freshman, you know what I'm saying? So it was they helped me get ready pretty fast. But yeah, it was one of them things, man. It was nerve wracking, but just that's part of the game, shaking it off and getting on with it.
I wanted to fast forward a bit. Of course, you know, playing as a freshman, starting a few games, then broke your ankle, but then you came back that second year, started at that on that left side. But then, of course, Coach Sherrill resigned. So, like, talk about that transition from Sherrill to Chrome. Of course, in a sense, you were a Sherrill guy. You transitioned to playing on the Chrome. And I mean, I heard stories about when Chrome first came in, and some of the stories and some of the stuff, the first team meeting, some of the things he said. Well, what was like your first impression of Chrome when he first came in?
It was I guess a no hold barred, all about business type situation. I expected that he kind of had a big job on his hand to try to turn the program around, and then had big shoes to fill, of course, to be behind Sherrill. So it was one of them things where I did expect him to kind of come in and lay down the iron fist to an extent, but he did a lot more than I'll say he did a lot more than I expected. But it was understandable, especially hindsight 2020. You know what I'm saying, and being older, because we did need to I guess you could say we need to get our feet back up under us and get our understanding of what we were there for, and like get the business for real. Because I think we did kind of a lot of that mentality to slip before Sherrill got out of there.
So would you say kind of like Coach Sherrill was more of a lenient coach than Coach Crum?
And that's the thing. I wouldn't say he was necessarily more lenient. I think it was more of a situation that because he was dealing with that he was dealing with some with
the NCAA situation.
Yeah, and I think it was more that he just didn't quite have that fire and that spunk that he did in his earlier years. Because that, I guess it might have taken a toll on him a little bit, but it wasn't the fact that he wasn't about his business or whatnot. It was just sometimes
yeah, life kind of weighs you down a little bit.
Yeah, they get the best of you sometimes, and I think that was probably a lot to deal with, and a whole football team of 21 and under men.
I want to touch on something else that happened around that time you was at Mississippi State. We don't touch on this on the pod, but I know I was talking to the guys the other day, like we have all these Greeks that are come on, and I know Derek a frat, and then Kendrick ain't on here today, but he's a frat. I want to talk about like first two questions with it. Like, how is it being a Greek, like trying to be online while being on the football team? Obviously, both of them take a lot of time. And then the second part of that question is, why become a Sigma, as a lot of football players always end up becoming a Q-Dogs? So why become a Sigma?
Take offense to that statement. It's plain has a history of Sigmas.
Yeah, we do. Matter of fact, one of the late greats, Johnny Cook, was back in the day, All-American, Mr. Mississippi State, or however you want to call it. But as far as just dealing with being online and playing football, man, that was a pretty rough time too, because you had a lot of things that were expected of you from both angles, and
I know.
It was just one of them things where just like with the starting as a true freshman, it kind of just bite the bullet and do the best you can and pray that it all come out well at the end. But as far as being a Sigma man over an Omega, like coming out of high school, honestly, mostly what I heard about were Omegas, And but it was one of those things where I didn't necessarily see myself carrying myself like they did,
Mhm.
or
Right.
sometimes do. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a you know, I'm not all out there and loud, and you know what I'm saying. It really fit my character. So it was one of them things where they kind of rule themselves out. No disrespect to them or whatnot, but it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea.
That's right. Same here.
Yeah.
Did they ever create like a rivalry on the team? Of course, you had Willie Evans, who was cute dog. Did they ever create like a little rivalry? Especially y'all, you got to go against them every day in practice.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. Me and Willie, we were kind of competitive anyway, because you know, we actually played against each other in high school too.
Mhm.
With Wayne County, and when we beat them in Wayne County, they actually had the #1 defense in the state at that time, and so it's always just been a competitive thing as far as that. Anyway, but as far as bringing the fraternity stuff in, it wasn't never really a big deal. I mean, he'd throw his sign up there now and then. They throw mine up, but you know, was really try to keep it business as far as getting better as individuals.
Derek?
So, you know, of course, you know me. That's where I met you. You know, doing when you were online. But we ain't gonna talk about that. What they made y'all do. So we're gonna keep that on the wraps. Which involved me. Which y'all did get my car out the mud. I was happy about that. Cause my truck got stuck in the mud, and I'm thankful. Cause hey, you did a lot of heavy lifting that night, bro.
Yeah,
you know, you helped get my truck out the mud.
I wrote.
Yeah, man.
Know,
So,
yeah, get a little rough.
So let's talk about, you know, you're back playing. Let's talk about your departure from Mississippi State. So you had an off the field issue. Talk about, you know, how that affected you as a football player.
Well, as far as how it affected me, you know, different parts affected me different ways, man. To be honest with you, because first off, you know, I did what I did because, you know, a lot of people want to think that you know, Richard Burch want to be a thug, want to be a drug dealer, and all this other. You know, I read a couple of comments and different things of that was on the internet or whatnot. But truth be told, it was just a situation where you know, I needed some money because the guy I was rooming with at the time, his situation fell through after we had gotten an apartment, and it ended up being a situation where my name was on the lease, and everything kind of fell back on me to make sure that the rent was paid. And so, naively thinking that you know, it wasn't that big of a deal or whatnot, I did what I did, and the hammer got dropped on me, and it kind of woke me up, and I found myself in a situation where you know, a lot of people that call themselves friends and associates didn't necessarily continue to be friends and associates. You know, it was like it was a couple of people I see, and like I'd be walking down the sidewalk or whatnot, look me dead in my eye, and they, you know, turn around and go the other way like they don't want to be associated with it. And you know what I'm saying? Then it was one of the things where, of course, the whole media thing, and like it was tripped out that like that I want to say it was. I want to say they picked me up on like a Monday, Tuesday night, and I ended up trying to go back to class on a Thursday, which just so happened to be the day that the school newspaper issue had come out. And I walk in the classroom, and I was sitting at the back, whatnot, and I look across the classroom, and all I see is like there's like a sea of my face, because everybody in the class just reading an article about me getting arrested or whatnot, and it was I guess a culture shock, for lack of better words, because I like I said, I ain't consider myself really a loud person or attention seeking person or whatnot, but then to all of a sudden get that type of attention, it kind of made it a little rough on me, as far as just being able to go about my life or everyday life as like normal, because of the fact that I'm just the talk of the town now. So it's like
Did you think it was kind of
I didn't.
compounded by the fact that I think around that time we had a couple other players that had some issues, kind of with some similar things. You had Dapu, and then you had Nick Turner. And it's almost like you got lumped in with them, but based off some of the things I've heard, it was probably a little different, because it seems like they might have had some more long-standing issues as far as with some of the stuff they had problems with.
Yeah, well, no. I never really thought of it like that, as far as it being lumped in with them. But I mean, true, they did have some issues going on around that same time. But it was more or less like I was just kind of in my own zone, and trying to figure out my next step and how I'm gonna keep pushing forward from there.
Right. So when you give an opportunity to potentially stay at Mississippi State, I mean, talk about the process. Okay, you got suspended from the team. Did you have a doorway to go back to Mississippi State before you decided to leave, or was the door say, okay, we're gonna show you the door to no longer be a student athlete at Mississippi State?
Well, what they actually did was the dean of students called me to the office and was like, this situation came up in front of us, and basically saying it was against school policy and different things. They gave me an option to either quit school, like to drop out of withdraw from school, or to go in front of the student judicial board, which the student judicial board would have been a gamble, because basically the way he told me was they could do anything from make me write a letter of apology to expel me from school.
Students like a bunch of peers, or would it be more like adults?
From my understanding, it was a bunch of peers.
Okay.
So is this like a trial where you could speak your piece on what happened or why you chose to make the decision you made?
That was the way that it was told to me. Yeah, like basically I would go in front of they call it the student judicial board. I didn't do too much research into it at the time or whatnot to be for sure what it was, but all I know is they gave me the option. They let me know that it could range from writing a letter of apology to actually getting expelled from school, which you have to leave your previous school in what they call good standing, or you can't attend another school. So if you get expelled, that's not considered leaving the previous school in good standing. So I ended up having to withdraw from school, which is why I ended up going to Mississippi Valley.
That's right.
A lot of people that was some of the stuff out there too. Like you hear all type of things. People like, he dropped out of school. He didn't want to be in school no way. Like, nah, I'm actually dropping out of school to make sure that I can continue to go to school, because
right.
Like I said, they could have expelled me, and now I'm just stuck out in the water, not being able to go anywhere. So
right.
that was the situation I was in at that point.
They stacked the deck on you, and you made the best decision for Richard.
Yeah, most definitely.
And the thing is, with Valley being my alma mater, I mean, you came to Valley, and you had a pretty good career in green and white.
Yeah, definitely. And I enjoy myself over there. I appreciate them folks.
Do you think like people ever sought out like the real story on all that? Because I mean, even at the time, it didn't seem like something that people that really know what it really was. It wasn't somewhere like you was some hardened criminal who, as you said, people try to make you out like you was a thug. And I think I interviewed you some years ago, and I was like, man, I don't get this. This doesn't really make a lot of sense. I was like, you don't come across like one of those, because I've interviewed some guys that have had some issues, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, but you know, when I talked to you, I was like, it didn't add up to me. I was like, I don't get that vibe from him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Yeah,
I know you personally, me knowing you personally, you know, so I was one of those guys, you know, regardless you were my friend or not, you know, once I got to know you, I wasn't gonna be one of the people who's gonna turn his back on you. Because when you was at Valley, I think I saw you there, and you know, you kind of ran down what happened, and I was happy that you was back playing football. Because in my mind, you know what I'm saying, you frat. All that matters is, okay, you hit a bump in the road. You didn't let that stop you. You made the best decision for you. And and the thing is, when people listen to this interview, if anybody, like the people who thought that you were a quitter, no, you made the best decision for you. You know what I'm saying? You were able to continue playing football and continue being a student athlete. And, you know, now that people hear that, hey, you weren't just out just being no drug dealer. You was trying to survive, man. And even now, college athletes are still having issues surviving. So what is something you would like to see change with how, you know, student athletes are treated as far as the situation that you had to incur? Because as a student athlete, you could not have a job. You couldn't work. So
Right. Well, yeah, like something that I would like to see change is, you know, a better situation for the guys. Like, I mean, pretty much my job was football. So as far as you know, how I think guys should be treated as far as playing college ball, I think they should get paid, like, and a pretty nice, you know, a pretty nice salary or whatnot, or, you know, hourly pay, or however they see fit to do it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really have time for a job, and even if you do have time for a job, they don't allow you to have a job.
Right. Because then you have to study, you have to practice, then you have to work. When are you gonna find time to eat and sleep?
Right. But you know, it's one of them things where you know, they try to say, well, you got a scholarship. But it's like, okay, what is that, like $40,000 over 4 years? I think it was around back then, maybe 50. You know, so you're looking at 10, 12 grand a year, and it's like, you know, I can make more than that working, to be honest with you. If you want to, you know, just try to say I got a scholarship, well, I mean, how about I hang up my cleats, go get me a job, and pay for my own school, if you want to just look at it like that. Exactly. But at the end of the day, I'm providing entertainment. I'm also incurring injury and bodily harm, and then, you know, expected to be the best or do my best. So what's wrong with actually compensating me for that?
And here's the thing: had you been properly compensated legally, you wouldn't have had to, you know, take that route that you took just to survive. I mean, if we could rewind and have players paid, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? You were a true freshman starter. You were good enough to start as a true freshman. So had that incident not happened, man, you could have won in the league, man. I mean, you had the talent, you had the ability. Still there, Burch?
Pause.
All right, we're back with Richard Burch. Go ahead, Richard.
But yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I think guys should get paid, because it's a situation where, you know, you want to live, you want to have a college experience, you want to you got to get back and forth to school, and you got to eat different things. And I know they give you a meal plan, but at the same time, like when I was there, the meal plan was you get your dinner paid for, and then you had like maybe like $15, $10 to $15 to either eat breakfast with, eat lunch with, or try to split it, in between. Then they give you like $215 a week. So where you had to pay for that. Like if you use your meal plan money on breakfast, you had to buy your own lunch, and then of course you had to pay for your food on the weekend. So I mean, not saying that you should necessarily ball out like an NFL player or whatnot, but you have to putting your health on the line and giving it to all to represent your school. I think you should be compensated for it and be comfortable. And for the people that don't like it, hey, you get out there and do it.
Right.
So, kind of speaking of the NFL, obviously you went to Valley, but you probably were a guy, at least from a talent perspective, that was on the radar for the NFL. Talk about, and I've talked to other guys before when they tried to make that transition to the NFL and start going through, I guess, the combine process and the pro days and all that good stuff. So how was that process going through and knowing you had that kind of strike on you? What type of questions did you have to answer, as you went through that process?
What's up, buddy? Don't wake in the house. I'll be in there. What's up? Right now.
Family.
Yeah, give me, man. My son.
That's all right.
Future Bulldog.
Hey. But yeah, of course when the scouts came around, they were just trying to get a feel for how the situation was gonna play out, because at that time I was still waiting to get sentenced or whatnot, and which I had to tell them I don't know. I didn't really know, and but just tried to do my best to stay focused and put my best foot forward in case I was able to play, and which turned out pretty much shortly after my senior season at Valley. I ended up having to take that little vacation, but after I got out, I trained a little bit, played some arena ball, and tried to get back ready to get rolling or whatnot, and they wouldn't allow me to come. They wouldn't allow me to go to the pro day at Mississippi State, and as far as his pro day anywhere else, I really didn't come in contact with one to get the opportunity to try it again. So it was just one of those things where the flame just kind of fizzled on out. Played like 3 years of arena ball, and I was in football, Richard Burch.
So kind of speak to just everything you're telling me. Just listening to it myself, I'm a teacher now myself, so I kind of hate, I kind of been charged with my first couple of years of my career, kind of sometimes getting the kid who maybe wasn't that bad off to begin with, might have got that strike on their record. Even some of them, even early as elementary, somebody told them they did something wrong, so we have to get rid of you. People kind of telling an improper narrative about you. Like, yes, you made that mistake, but what were you, 21 years old? and somebody obviously, I don't know if you got any trouble before then or after then, but that's kind of like what people gonna see you as. So kind of just speak to that, like as far as people, I know you talked about at the time, but kind of like after the fact, how people kind of just see you as that guy that had that off the field issue instead of, in a sense, Richard Burch, the man.
Yeah, you know, people gravitate to the narrative that the media puts out there a lot of times, and like when it first hit the news, like in the Jackson metro area, like it was on the news like every day for about 2 weeks. I remember, and you know, I actually had a news reporter call me one time. You know, I wasn't really just people game on the magnitude of the situation, I guess. And they like, so what you doing now? I'm like, you know, just a normal, you know, 20-year-old answer. I'm chilling. And, you know, put on the news station. We talked to him today. He said he's just chilling. And it's like,
That's literally what they said.
that's exactly what they said. Yeah, on the news station, like as if, you know, I don't have any ambitions. I ain't trying to do anything. You know, happy to just be at home chilling. You know, that's kind of how they painted the picture. But like, it taught me about as far as just, you know, being aware of people and their motives, and then also projecting yourself in the best light. But at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, not really buying too much into what other people think, and because they're gonna think what they're gonna think, and really ain't much you can do. You know what I'm saying? Especially if in a situation like that where you got the media pushing the narrative or whatnot. But it was all a learning experience, and basically a situation where I just had to make sure I kept my composure and, you know, push forward the best way I knew how, and not buy into that narrative that they were trying to paint me as. And you know, people that really want to, they'll see for themselves whenever they get the chance.
So have you been able to, I guess, kind of speaking like to that, have you been able to make kind of a connection back with Mississippi State? I know we had a player on our podcast a few months ago, Quentin Wesley. I don't know, I guess he kind of came a little bit after the year after you did, or it would have been your senior year. And obviously he had off the field issues even before he ended up getting kicked off the team. But he said he hadn't come back to he hadn't been back on campus, I guess, since, as a matter of fact, he couldn't come back on campus. So, like, have you been able to make that connection back to Mississippi State? Of course, you got your frats and your Greek, but, like, have you been able to make that connection back to the school, being able to catch a game, anything like that?
I've been to a couple games. Not many. I've been to a couple blue and white weeks, and
missed those.
Yeah, man. And I was actually gonna go to I was gonna try to make to the Black Alumni week and blue and white week this year, because they were like back-to-back weeks. But of course, we got this whole shutdown, lockdown thing going on. So, that didn't quite happen. But I mean, I don't go like some of the more faithful Bulldog fans, I guess you could say. But I've gone back a couple times. But of course, I just try, as I always, try to fly up under the radar, man. Because I mean, that's pretty much how I move. You know what I'm saying? When you see me, don't you?
So
go ahead, Derek.
I was going to talk about, so like, you know, Mississippi State has always recruited Brandon. And, you know, this past season, Mississippi State recruited the starting quarterback for Brandon, Will Rogers. So what do you think about, his decision to go to Mississippi State? And then, of course, our head coach right now, Mike Leach, coach a former Brandon Bulldog and Garner Minshew. So just talk about what you think about, other Brandon Bulldogs going to Mississippi State and just your knowledge of Minshew.
As far as guys from Brandon going to Mississippi State, I think it's a good thing because as far as like the fit of the atmosphere up there in Starkville and the atmosphere in Brandon, they kind of a good match. You know what I'm saying? So it's a situation where that down home southern environment, I guess you could say, it helps to make that transition, make you feel kind of at home, or at least a home away from home. But as far as the actual quarterback stuff, which I ain't get a chance to go to.
We're losing good again, Fred.
Oh, can you hear me?
There we go. We got you back now. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, as far as getting an opportunity to go check out the guys last year at Brandon High School, I didn't even get a chance to go down there, which I heard about the quarterback that, he was pretty good and he was going up there. So, I wish him the best or not, but as far as actually being able to chime in on, as far as how he might be able to contribute or whatnot, I can't even really say, man, because like I said, I didn't even really get a chance to watch him for real. But like I said, I heard he's pretty decent, and like I said, I wish him the best.
So I know the other day we had Dale One on, and he kind of talked about. It was a fun interview, but he even, one of his more somber moments where he kind of talked about how football, kind of sounded similar to kind of some of the stuff you're saying, that he don't sit down and analyze and he ain't criticizing that going on or anything like that, because he feels like football took more away from him than gave to him. So are you somewhat similar to him with that, where you feel like football, because honestly, if you were just another student athlete, because you weren't the only one that got in trouble. I was on campus, you weren't the only one that got in trouble for that situation. Obviously they get to go and live their lives. They don't have to be, of course, fans go to, oh, you're Richard Burch. I hear how fans can be. So do you feel like football maybe took more from you than he gave to you?
Yeah, I definitely do. Because, it puts you in the spotlight and kind of require more of you than a regular student, for one. And, I got a scholarship, but like I was saying earlier, to be real with you, I could have got a job or did like other folks and got a loan and actually had time to, enjoy college. But not to say I didn't enjoy college, but you know what I'm saying? It was more about business, because football took up a majority of the time that I was there. And like I said, injuries and different things, it takes a lot out of you, man. And I can agree. It took more than it gave me.
So how was that kind of transitioning to, I guess, regular life or that time to get a job? So, obviously you had the strike on your record, but at the same time, just that overall transition from going to be a guy. I think Dale One spoke about how, he was used to, they give you your books, they give you this. You ain't never had to do a resume. He said he would have to do stuff that other people been doing since they were 17, 18 years old, or their whole life pretty much. and then now you're an adult, you got to get a job, and then maybe you can got a mark on your record. So how is that trying to get a job or transition, really just getting away from ball? You ain't got to focus on the, having a strike on your record part, but having a transition to just being a regular person at that point.
Yeah, and you gotta really kind of be mentally tough, man, and or at the least have somebody there that's guiding you and kind of helping you along the way as far as like what to do, what to expect, and steps to kind of take, what to kind of look out for, or, what to do and not to do. Because just being real, like you said, yeah, they give you books, they help you, like they pretty much sign you up for classes. Like all you gotta do is really gotta show up, and you gotta do your work. Like what I'm saying, as far as all that talk about being given grades, you hear about that. So I ain't talking about that. They basically had it set up where, they schedule out your time. They get right, they get done whatever it is get done. Like, even with, as far as like the like payment, financial aid or whatever that you get apart from your scholarship. Like they had a certain guy that dealt with that for us. We had Ann Carter help with like our academics and stuff as far as like, making sure we took care of and on top of it all as far as doing that. But then like once you leave school, it's like, all right, now I gotta do all that stuff myself. Or, I gotta have somebody in my corner that's gonna make sure it get done. And that's a pretty tough transition, especially when like you never really had to do it before on your own. It was a little help here. So it was just, yeah, it could be a tough transition, man. But like I said, one of the things where you have to have your mind right, and for the younger guys listening, that like try to have a plan and just kind of learn from others' mistakes and successes, and that's one thing I wish they would have prepared us more for, because that would have made it an easier transition, but that wasn't necessarily the case.
I don't know if you were paying. I'm not sure everybody knew about it. But we had two players pass away in the off season. Former players, De'Ronian Wilson and P.J. Jones. Did you catch those stories at the time?
I heard about De'Ronian, but T.J. guy, to be honest with you, man, I try to stay off. I try to stay away. I don't say stay away, but I don't have time. To be on sports and stuff, because I working and then been trying to expand my knowledge, personal knowledge on when I got time. Then besides that, I got kids and a wife. You know what I'm saying? And, it's just I catch sports sparingly a lot, but like I said, I did hear about the ring. But who was the other guy you said? TJ.
It was P.J. Jones. He played D-tackle at Mississippi State a couple years ago.
I think I did.
I guess kind of what I was kind of getting to is more, kind of listening to what you're saying. It's kind of how tough it is for the guys. They end up creating a program for former athletes to kind of, help them with that transition at Mississippi State. So do you think something like that kind of was long overdue? Obviously, with, that transition you had to go through. Do you think that was something that was long overdue for them to put a program in place?
Definitely, man. Definitely, because you still got to realize you still dealing with kids. You know what I'm saying? And like so much is expected of kids, and and a lot of times really the only reason they even meet those expectations a lot of times because they got so many people behind the scenes making sure that these kids stay in line. So it's like, and then on top of that, like a majority of your football career, like you focus on football and trying to make it great, and like you really kind of lose sight of all right, what comes next after football or after college. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think that's long overdue because I know me personally, I didn't even like after college. What I wasn't even really considering like what was after college. To be real with you, I didn't even realize like I had quote unquote NFL potential until I had gotten in trouble and people were, you know, telling me that how much I messed up. It's like, okay, didn't know that because you know what I'm saying. I just focused on doing me. You know what I'm saying? And, like, sure I made the practice, making sure I made that block, making sure I made that break, try to give me a little sleep in between the little, you know, all time shenanigans. But you know, I mean, with so much going on, man, is it can slip through the cracks as far as being focused or prepared on the next step. And I think, yeah, it's long overdue for them to, you know, bring that into focus. I mean, you do have it that has to continue after football, but you make it to the league. And
All right, so I mean, you have a son that you're raising now, and what do you like hope that the next athlete? I mean, obviously you're a guy that maybe had the opportunity to go to the NFL and maybe even have a successful career. What would you like maybe to opportunity of a young athletes? We do have a lot of athletes that do a lot of young athletes that listen to the podcast. What would you like to tell them and kind of hope that they will learn from your story? As far as you know, you made mistakes just like all of us have, but what do you hope that they can learn from your story?
be patient, man. You know, don't try to live too fast because, you know, they talk about patience being a virtue, and you know what I'm saying. Be patient and let that block develop. You know what I'm saying, all that stuff. But like, is true in life. Like, and not saying to not you know go get a assertive or you know what I'm saying aggressive when it counts, but like don't necessarily try to push the envelope in unnecessary situations. Like me personally, I didn't have to move into an apartment. I could have stayed in the dorm, you know, all 4 years of my life. But I mean, of my college career. But I wanted to, you know, get out and do my thing, and then push the envelope when that wasn't even really necessary because you know I was there to you know go to school and play ball, which you don't need a quarterback. But you know I had other things on my mind like partying and you know other unmentionables. But you know, but yeah, man, like you know what I'm saying, just be patient and stay focused on what you're there for and what you're trying to do, and have a end game or plan B. Like it's know that you know football ain't gonna always last. Like I say, even if you do go to the league, like nobody plays forever. You know what I'm saying? Like understand that you're gonna need something to fall back on, and because you know what I'm saying, most people don't make it to the league, and then the ones that do make it to the league, they got a whole different ball game to worry about as far as you know making sure they hold on to their money. So
definitely,
it's one of them things where have a plan. Like, just don't just go through life, you know, thinking that football is it, or partying is it, because it ain't. College ain't but 4 or 5 years, as if you register. So if you plan on living a long life, man, live your life accordingly. Like you're going to live past college. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just take college it, or don't go through life, I guess, not realize that college is not. I guess that's better to say.
Right, man. And like I said, I've learned so much from this interview, you know, with me knowing you personally, and then just listen to the advice you're giving. You know what I'm saying? You really embarking some words of wisdom. So, you know, for those of you who listen to this show, listen to the words that Richard Burch is saying. You know, he's really, really giving some wisdom, some life lessons to learn from. So, you know, we thank you, Frat, for agreeing to be on the show. We'll definitely have to get you back on. Hopefully, you know, just to, you know, shoot it and talk football with us again. But before we get out of here, I got a question, man, because we ain't heard no funny stories. Man, tell us 3 funny stories that you can tell us from your playing career at Mississippi State. I need at least 3.
I'm not a storyteller. Like, I'm that guy that can try to tell a joke and it'll be the funniest joke in the world, and I tell the joke. It's just like crickets, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I just funny joke. I don't know, man. You kind of caught me on that one.
Well,
I'm gonna ask this.
funny story, just 3. There's some stories about behind the scenes with your teammates in practice and games. You know, just tell us some football stories.
Well, I got some specific, Derek, I want to ask about. Did Kroom really say that he was going to package some guys up out of there?
That he was going.
He said that. I heard Kroom said that some of y'all came in on package deals, and I'm going to package some of y'all up, bleeps on out of here. That's what I heard.
As far as the like verbatim, I don't remember exactly. It'd be known that he didn't have a problem with it, and pretty much aiming towards getting a bad season. We didn't have that necessary business mentality to be champions, and that's just real. You know what I'm saying? Like, we play a lot, we goof around a lot, and like, I personally,
We lost him again. All right, we're back with Richard Burch, and he was sharing some Bulldog stories.
Yeah, but yeah, like we like for instance, the one of the things we used to do, like we'd be in the locker room and you know, like after practice, everybody getting their showers or whatnot, and like one of the coaches might come in there, he might need to say something to one of the players or something. He would holler, everybody, Dick Watcher, Dick Watcher, Dick Watcher, Dick Watcher. I don't know. Can I say that on it? I didn't say it now.
Hey,
That's one of the things, like, that was one of the things that used to trip me out. It was funny because, you know, it was like that was our way of kind of controlling the coaches on invading our privacy or whatnot. But at the same time, it was one of them things where, like, you know, he probably had some very serious information that he needed to tell somebody. Otherwise, why he want to come in the room full of men naked? You know, they end up in the shower and everything. But here we are, you know, basically calling, calling the man outside his name. But I say we. I ain't never do that shit. Excuse me.
So, you ever get a chance to go up against Del one-on-one?
Yeah. You know, we went ahead up a couple times. And
Pancaking?
Nah, I ain't pancake. Nah.
Like the type you gonna pancake.
Nah, I ain't pancaking. To be real, man, I never really tried to pancake my teammates. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, you ain't no Sean Taylor.
I got, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I get my job done, and really and truthfully, if you ever get a chance to just watch me on the film, like once I block you, I try to get on down the field and create another block if necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like once I get you out of the way, you really a non-factor. So it's like, all right, I'm on to the next one. Maybe give me a good
safety, looking for a safety to beat up on.
Yeah.
So you think the pancake block is probably kind of an overrated kind of thing? I mean, I know it look good on film when you.
Yeah, I think it really is overrated. I do.
That's the only stat our offensive lineman has, except for jumping out sides.
True, but like you also think about it that like if you downfield and make a block that spring back for another 5, 10, 15 yards, like they see that. You know what I'm saying? Well, as a matter of fact, a pancake, you know what I'm saying? A pancake, I see you laying on the ground like that because I've been watching the ball run. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, they taught us to, you know, get downfield and go ahead and try to, because the play ain't over. You know what I'm saying? And so that was one of the things where I just try to go ahead and get it. But now high school, like, you know, that was one of my things. They try to get the pancakes. Just on an understanding of effectiveness and trying to get to the next level. It was more of a being efficient. Don't kill your time on this dude that's 5, 10 yards behind the ball. You get what I'm saying? Like the ball already hit the hole and he already 10 yards downfield. He could use your help blocking again, as opposed to you trying to necessarily punish this dude that's a non-factor. So that was what my mind was. I know it ain't always fun. Like I said, I ain't no real comedian or whatnot. But
So can you confirm what Dale one said that the offense was soft at that time?
That's the thing. Like, as far as just soft, I wouldn't necessarily say soft, but they were injured. You know what I'm saying? Like we had Johnny, we had knee problems, and then Brad, what's his name? Brad. He had shoulder problems, pinched nerve, and then
so basically just football injuries. So basically just football injuries.
Something like that. But like Brad actually had to stop playing because they pinched his shoulder. They told him that you know, if he kept on playing, he wasn't gonna be able to his kids. Like that's how bad it is. And but I mean, yeah, I guess you could say something to come with it. I mean, I can't really say how serious it was for them versus how serious it would have been for me. But yeah, that was kind of the synopsis of it, man. We had a lot of injury. But
yes, indeed. Well, Ma, we want to thank you for coming on from the Dawgs. Joe, you have any parting questions for Richard?
No, man, I just want to thank you for coming on. I mean, I really appreciate how you were willing to come on and just talk about, I mean, a lot of people don't like getting into their past or anything which you consider negative. I appreciate you kind of telling that story because I think there's some young athletes and just people in general that need it. It ain't just athletes that need to hear that, you know, especially a person that's being honest about it and just, because I think people need to fully understand from all angles everything that go into it. Obviously, the decision-making process, but, you know, the decisions you have to make, you have to decide whether or not, you know, you're going to go before a student council and all of this after you make this mistake and how, you know, that mistake, you know, possibly did mess up your pro career, but at the same time, you got a family now, you living. So I think, you know, I thank you for coming on and giving us the opportunity to show that, you know, you are kind of living your life and, you know, you didn't let that define you.
Man, you're doing more than just chilling.
Yeah.
All right, Fred. We're going to have to chop it up, Ma. We got a lot of catching up to do.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely.
All right, go ahead and close this out.
All
right, so fans, you just listened to From the Dog's Mouth, Richard Burch, former Bulldog. He played his first 3 years at Mississippi State, played at Mississippi Valley State. He told a great story as far as just his career at Mississippi State, the challenges that come along with being an athlete, and then just how you just kind of, not necessarily recover, but how you kind of push past after you have something that most would think would define you and kind of, you know, that's what people see you as. He's living his life now. So I just want to thank y'all for listening to this. If you like the podcast, subscribe, click, whatever, comment, please comment, like on YouTube, and it'll be available on Spotify and different platforms as well. So I just thank y'all for listening to this, and I think this is an interview that this is outside of maybe one comment that y'all can have your kids listen to, and maybe some young athletes can listen to and learn from.
All right, peace out, Mark.
All right.
right.